in the right spot here. Could be a little bit better, I suppose. I'm almost afraid of moving. So I said it is hats off to grads and dads today. And I am going to be working with this bundle from the new annual catalog. On first glance, it looks very sporty, very masculine, but I have lots of ideas spinning around in my head on what to do with this stamp set. And today I'm going to be sharing with you one of them. So let me get started. This is a stamp set that has a coordinating die set, so you can cut without fussy cutting. That's an awesome thing. And the dies happen to have this adorable stitching. Let's see. And I'm just making sure that I'm in the right spot. And let's see. Hopefully everything is going right, and it looks like it. Hopefully you can hear me. Please comment if you are unable to hear. I've been having trouble with the microphone, so I am going sans microphone lately. Hopefully the volume is all the way up. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to share with you the project that I've got. Some of my things have been pre-prepped, so you don't have to watch me do everything. I'm going to be using the Hats Off stamp set and the coordinating die set, which is the Hat Builder dies. I'm also going to be using paper from our outgoing mini catalog. It is the Well Suited Suite. And specifically, I'm going to be using the Designer Series paper. This paper is really nice. I love the colors, love the patterns. It looks kind of office-y, I think, kind of formal. So we're going to bring it down a little bit more casual. On page 67 of the mini catalog, the paper is going away. The bundle is remaining. There's a twine pack that's also going to be retiring, but I am going to be using the Designer Series paper from the Well Suited Suite. So I'm kind of going with more of a casual, formal attire. I know a lot of dads don't wear the ties and the bows and aren't that formal anymore, but I absolutely love the paper. It's got some nice pinstriping on it. It's got a nice tweed pattern. I love the plaids. The florals, there's a paisley one that gets me really excited. Absolutely love this paper. And if you like it, you will want to get a pack before it retires at the end of this month. Okay, so let's get started. I am going to be creating right before you. I'll tell you what I'm using, and I'll try to call out measurements as I go along. As I said, a lot of these things have been pre-cut, pre-measured, so that you don't have to watch me do a lot of the smaller steps. So I'm starting with a basic gray cardstock. This is on the portrait orientation, so I cut one sheet down in half. It's 4 1/4 by 11, scored at the 5 1/2 inch mark. I'm just going to use my bone folder to go ahead and fold it over. And I'm going to burnish that score line nicely. Next, I am going to bring in the same tones. I've got some black cardstock. This measures, and I'm going to have to bring in my ruler. I didn't write down my measurements. And let's see. This measures 4 7/8 by 3 1/2. And the reason I chose those specific measurements is because I'm going to mat one of those stitched rectangle die cuts right over it. So the die cut measures about 5 inches, or sorry, about 4 3/4 by about 3 1/8. So the black mat is just a tiny bit bigger than the die cut. The die cut is in smoky slate. The mat is in black, and I'm going to go ahead and layer these on. I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus. It's my go-to favorite adhesive, along with my Tombow liquid glue. My Tombow is my favorite. This happens to be very easy to use typically. Of course, today I'm going to struggle with it. The Seal and I do not get along as well as the Plus and I do. So, and I do like that it's a little bit more aggressive. So I'm just going to layer this right over the black mat. You're going to see the tiniest little border. Now this as well is going to be layered right onto our card base. Again, flat adhesive. So I'm using again my Seal Plus. And today it is not working with me. Just when I start feeling really comfortable with it, I get a gippy refill. There we go. So I've got some adhesive. I'm going to put a tiny bit more on the bottom there. Flip that over and it's going to go right over top. I've got about not quite half an inch border all the way around. There's my base. Now I'm going to bring in some of that Designer Series paper from the Well Suited Suite. I chose the pinstriping pattern. On the flip side is a nice diagonal stripe, and I kind of like them both. Not sure, what do you think? Do you like that stripe? I'm going to go with the pinstripe. I like it. It's a little bit more basic, and you'll see why in just a second. I'm going to be using the tweed as well, so I think the tweed and the pinstripe go really well together. And this is going to be adhered right over top of this layer. So for this, I'm going to see if I've got a working liquid glue. I want to put a little bit right at the top because it is going to be flat adhered, and I'm trying to work with the ends of it and just a little bit there. And the reason I wanted the liquid glue is because it's going to be able to be a little bit more aggressive. It's a nice adhesive, and I did put a little bit too much up at the top. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of oozing out at the top. So my fix usually is to get a tiny piece of paper or something that I can kind of scrape that excess off so it doesn't get sticky. There we go. And again, down at the bottom. And I'm going to use my bone folder to kind of make that a nice seal on there. Okay, so I've got my basic card base done. Now I'm going to bring in the hat from Hats Off. And I went ahead and I pre-die cut that hat. There is a die that cuts that out, and it's really sweet. It's got some stitching on there. What I forgot to do was stamp that. So I'm going to see if I can stamp right on this. If I can't, I'm going to go ahead and die cut another one because I do want to get the outline of the hat. So if I can get right on this, I'm going to use this die cut. Otherwise, maybe I'll start over. And luckily, this stamp set is photopolymer, so I can see right through it. And hopefully I got some precise placement. I'm going to press down firmly. It is a big stamp, and so it needs a lot of pressure. And let's see if I did a fair job. I did. I kind of like that. And not sure if you can actually see. Hello, Debbie. Thank you for joining me. I am making a Father's Day card. It would be perfect either for your dad or a son who's a dad, a brother who's a dad, uncles, grandparents, or grandfathers. So it's a nice Father's Day card, but you're going to see it's also good for birthdays as well and other occasions when you would celebrate for him. So I've got my die cut with that hat made out, and this is why I say at first glance this stamp set was not that appealing to me. I thought, I'm not sure about that baseball cap. But remember, we wear all kinds of caps, and I have still more ideas spinning around in my head on what to do with this cute stamp set. So I've got my hat done. I am going to put a label on this because this is for Dad. I'm doing it for Father's Day. So I'm going to bring in a scrap of white, and I'm going to actually stamp Dad down. There's a cute little stamp in this stamp set that says Dad. That's what I'm going to go for. And there's also a little die cut for that. So I'm going to be stamping and die cutting. And again, I'm going to use the Dad, and I am using Memento Black ink. And I want to make sure that I grab plenty of ink so I get a nice impression. And let's see, pressing down firmly so I make a nice inking. Perfect. And I am going to cut this with the dies, the coordinating dies. The die set has the shapes to cut all of those labels. And let's see, here we go. It's like that's gonna go right over top there. And I'm gonna bring in my Stampin' Cut mini machine. There we go. And I love that I can have this right nearby and do a little bit of quick die cutting without having to go over to the big machine. So let's see if I can bring that in. I'm gonna put it right in place. So this also gives you the sandwich. So it's plate 1, plate 2, paper and die. And then I am going to complete my sandwich by putting another cutting pad on top. This is cutting pad number 2 as well. And let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and cut that up. You know what, it's kind of wiggling around. And ordinarily I might put a little bit of washi on there. I don't have washi handy, but I have a little Post-it note. So sometimes the Post-it note works too. There we go. Have to be resourceful. I don't want that die to be wiggling around. All right, here we go. Gonna move that out of the way, get my little cut. And I like that. Put that back. And let's put the die back with the set. Okay, so I've got that going on. This is going to be flat adhered right onto the cap. So I'm going to do that with a couple of glue dots without getting messy. Glue dots are the perfect adhesive there for little pieces. And I'm going to put it right on the seam. There is a little gap on the stamp and on the die cut that gives you a placement right for that label. So this is going to be put on with dimensionals. I want it to pop up a little bit, and you can see the flip side is that nice plaid, and I actually had a little moment of indecisiveness on which side to use. This one looks a little bit sportier to me, and I wanted to go with that kind of casual business look with that tweed and the pinstripe, and I'm going to put a mini dimensional right there on the visor of the hat. So this goes here. And again, this is a great card, not just for Father's Day, it could be for birthday as well. I'm going to put it pretty much horizontal center. Or is that vertical center? I think it's vertical center. Okay, so I've got my cap, I've got my tweed, my pinstripe. I'm going to put a label on there. So from the stamp set, if I bring that back in, I'm going to pick out this "You're the Best," and I am going to stamp it on a pre-cut stitched rectangle. It comes from the same set that I took the Smoky Slate rectangle from. So it's a very narrow, probably like 1/2 inch by about 2 inches. And I am going to stamp "You're the Best" on this one in Memento Black as well. And hopefully I can get this stamped in the right spot. Usually I would recommend stamping first, then die cutting, and I'm totally going against that rule because I wanted to have my die cut done. And luckily this is a photopolymer stamp, so I can see right through for placement. And then I'm going to press down firmly. Yes, the tweed looks just like fabric, and that's what I like about this paper. And it kind of makes that cap look a little bit more casual than sporty. And that's what, again, what I like about it. So there we go. "You're the best." And I think any man would love hearing that, whether it's dad, husband, son, friend. All right, so you're the best, and I'm gonna put this on with dimensionals. Again, I'm gonna use 2 full-size dimensionals, and I'm gonna put them on both ends, and the full size just fits on this die cut. There we go. And it goes right over top. I'm gonna bring it in, yikes, here we go. Right in here, make sure it's not upside down. Done that before. Okay, so right around there. You're the best. I like it nice and clean because it's a masculine card. I don't want too much fussiness going on. And then I'm gonna finish it off with some matte black dots. I like these little black dots, just a little touch of pizzazz. So I'm gonna bring in my pick-a tool to help me lift up the little black dots. I'm gonna put a large one, and I like to go in odd numbers, so I'm gonna do 3 on this one if I can kind of get in here and get my dot. And I'm gonna kind of create like a triangle formation. So I've got 2 points there and another point down. You know what, I'm gonna go for a bigger one down at the bottom instead of the small, a little bit weightier. I'm just gonna bring it down here. All right, so the outside is complete. And I know it looks very simple, but that's kind of my style for the masculine cards. I like all the texture that's going on with the different kinds of fabric. And I'm gonna bring in a little bit more fun on the inside of the card because of course it's a colored cardstock. Kind of hard to write your message on there. So I'm gonna bring in a piece of basic white that measures about, looks like it's 5 inches by 3 3/4, and I'm gonna bring in the tiniest little swatch of the paisley patterned paper from the same paper pack. On the flip side is a little diamond, a navy diamond pattern. I love this paisley pattern. Beautiful smoky slate and basic gray coloring on that. And I'm just gonna attach that to the bottom of my basic white, just kind of to anchor my message. And so on the inside, you could write Happy Father's Day. You could write, you're my number one, love you, you're the greatest, whatever message you want to put. And I'm going to put this right down. I'm going to leave a little bit of a white border at the bottom. So that helps ground this message. And I'm going to flat adhere it on the inside. So completing the card just gives it an extra special look to it. There we go. And equal border all the way around. There we go. So there's our You're the Best Dad card. You could use it for Father's Day or birthdays or any occasion that you are recognizing Dad. You're the best. That was created with Hats Off, the stamp set, and the die. All right. So going forward, I said it's hats off to dads and grads. It's also graduation season, and that goes for whether it's college graduation, high school graduation, elementary school graduation, or kindergarten graduation. It's always a great time to celebrate the end of the school year for whatever level our family is achieving. And so what I'm going to do, I've got a nice graduation idea for you. So I haven't actually completed this card. I'm going to share with you what I'm doing. So I'm going to be doing the graduation cap. This is my spin on it. And I know I've seen lots of patterns. Sometimes the cap is very small. This one's a little bit different. I'll share with you my construction and what I'm using here. You can see I'm using black and white. These would probably be the colors for a college graduation. If you were doing high school or any other school, you might want to go with school colors. But I'm doing the traditional black cap for college graduation. And let me share with you what I'm using. So I've got 3 pieces of basic black cardstock. And these are squares that measure 5 inches. So I've got 2 that measure 5 inches. That's going to be the top and bottom of the cap. Then I have a smaller black one that measures 4.5 by 4.5. This is going to be the inside of the cap. I also have a basic white layer that's 4.5 by 4.5. Whoops, is that what I said with the black? I think it is. So we have two, the black and white, that are the exact same size. And then for the inside of the cap, I am using black and white paper. This comes from the True Love paper pack, which again is in the mini catalog. And this paper is going to be retiring as well. So it's a nice basic black and white. It's on page, let's see, 11 of the mini catalog, the True Love. What I like about it, it's got florals on one side, and the flip side is some kind of geometric pattern. So we have like these funky diamonds, some stripes, some dots, black and white pattern, more stripes. And this pattern, I don't know what you would call it. It's kind of like a trellis, but maybe not. I'm using a full sheet, and I trimmed it down to a 9.5 inch square. So here's going to be the key to constructing your cap. You have a 9.5 inch square. The first thing you're going to do is fold it in half and use your bone folder to burnish. So make some nice folds. Then we're going to fold it the other direction as well in half. And again, we're going to use the bone folder to burnish. And then finally, I'm going to flip it and I'm going to do a diagonal fold and burnish it. So next what's going to happen is this is the side I want facing. And you can see it's the geometric on this side, and on the flip side, it's the floral pattern. So I'm going to do this side. It looks a little bit more formal, and it wouldn't matter if you're doing a feminine or a masculine card. Now I'm going to take that diagonal one, and I'm going to make it a mountain fold. You can see how I'm bringing it up, and the other folds go in the opposite direction. So again, I'm going to bring in my bone folder and do a nice fold. And I'm going to attach the bottom. I'm going to bring in one of the 5.5 inch squares or 5 inch squares, and I am going to attach this at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is put some tear and tape. I could use liquid glue, I could use Seal Plus, but I do want, I don't want it to get too messy. I want it nice and secure. And hopefully this goes right. I did not pre-make it. It's in my head. I kind of worked with dimensions. And I have to laugh though. The last time I didn't pre-make the project, it went a little bit askew and it didn't go as smoothly as I thought it was going to. In the end, it was a nice project. And that's what I always say. If you're in the middle of the project and you feel like it's not working out, sometimes you just need to keep moving forward, because in the end, it's going to turn out fine. So I have a little bit of an overhang of adhesive there. I'm just going to roll it back. So I'm going to burnish that on this tear and tape, and I'm going to be attaching it to the bottom of the cap. So I'm just going to reveal all of the stickiness right through here and here. All right, so now what I'm going to do is attach this to the bottom. So I'm going to want a border, and remember this is aggressive tape, so you want to kind of eyeball it to make sure that you've got an equal border all the way around, because that tear and tape is going to grab on. And there we go. So this is the bottom. If I turn it a tad, it's going to be the cap that's going to be folding out this way. All right, so I've got my bottom done. Before I attach the top, however, I am going to add a tassel. So let's see, I've got another 5-inch rectangle. I am going to attach a tassel, and it's going to go right in the center of the cap border. And I'm going to bring in, I'm cheating because I happen to have black tassels. These were in one of the mini catalogs, maybe a couple of catalogs ago. They're mini tassels, and they came, I think they were out for Halloween because I have gray and I have black. And so I thought, you know what, this is perfect. I'm attaching it to some of the black twine, which is in the annual catalog. So just black twine. If you don't happen to have a tassel, you can make a tassel. I'm going to cut this off, and I want it to kind of hang off the mortar board. So I'm going to make a little knot, and this is going to go right to the center of the cap. We got two kinds of caps today, a baseball cap and a grad cap. All right, so I've got that going on. I want it to go right in the center. So I'm going to pierce and attach a brad. And there are mini brads in the new annual catalog, but if you're like me, you might have a stock of brads in your craft stash. I am going to take, and I actually thought I have two different sizes. I have little tiny baby ones, and I think I'm going to go with another kind of brad I have that's a larger size. These happen to be glimmer brads, and I do have some silver ones. So I'm going to use that larger silver brad. And I'm going to attach this tassel right to the center. So I could measure, but I won't. But I do not want to, let's see if I've got a piercing mat that's okay to pierce on, and I don't. All right, so I'm just going to take this messy piercing mat and use it for its intended purpose. It is a piercing mat, but I don't use it for piercing very often. I'm going to poke a hole right in the center using my pick tool, and I'm kind of eyeballing it again. I'm just going to poke that hole. I'm going to put my tassel in position and run my, let's see if I can put that right through the center to hold it in place. Oops. Again, oh, it's split. That's what happened. It didn't pick up both of them. Might be a little bit tricky to get in. Let's see. Right between the two. And pierce that through. Flip it over and spread the prongs. There we go. All right, so I've got my tassel attached to my mortar board. And you guessed it, this just goes atop. And you know what, I might have, if I had been thinking, I should have knotted this before I attached it. And this is just so that the tassel won't be sliding around. Let's see if I can pull it through. Yep, should work okay. And I'm just going to try and put that knot all the way to the bottom. And if you don't have tassels, you can make tassels using twine or floss. I just thought it's really convenient that I have these on hand. Okay, so next, now I'm going to attach this. This will be the top of my hat. And it really doesn't matter the orientation because it's a square, essentially. I am going to put on my tear and tape here. So there are some years, there are lots of grads in the family, and some years where we have no grads in the family, but I know that friends and family have some graduates. And so Nikki, welcome in. I see that you're late. No worries, my friend. We are making hats for grads and dads. I did do the dad hat earlier. It's a cap. And I do have an alternative to share with you. If you stick to the end with me, you'll see the dad hats off card, and I'm going to show you an alternative or another version. And I have more to do with the hats off. I have lots of ideas floating around in my head, just haven't had the time. And I'm always thinking, oh, this coming week's gonna get better, and actually it winds up being the same, but no worries. Okay, so now I'm gonna make sure I have the tassel on the outside. I'm gonna bring in the top of the hat. I wanna make sure that I'm aligned correctly. There we go. Voila. So I've got my grad hat. It's very basic on the outside. And let's see, when we open up, it's going to open up this way. There we go. It'll close back up. And so what I've decided to do, I am going to have a white, basic white layer. But because this is probably going to be a gift card presenter, I've got my black layer, the same size, and I'm just going to cut it on the diagonal before I attach it here. So I'm going to bring in my little mini chopper, and hopefully this works out. Oh, see, it's already not working out. I did not do this in advance, but that's okay. The paper trimmer is going to do the job, and I'm just going to put the diagonal right on the track. This works just as easily. So I've actually got 2 triangles now. And to this layer, I am going to attach the triangle here. And again, I'm going to use my tear and tape. And this is going to be the little pocket that holds your gift. Most likely it's a gift card. It could be cash, or if anybody writes checks anymore, it could be a check. It's really sweet. Now I've seen other graduation cap templates online. They sometimes end up a little bit small when you make them from a cardstock that starts off as 8.5 by 11. I like a regular size card. And if you haven't figured it out, the finished size on this card is going to be 5 by 5. So here's the dilemma. You could put it in a 5 by 7 envelope, and the Postmaster General would run it through at regular postage, or you could make an envelope tailor-made for a 5 by 5 card, and I'm going to share with you how I did my envelope. But here's the thing, if it's 5 by 5, it's going to require extra postage because of the unusual size. Not fair, right? Because the other envelope was even bigger than the 5 by 5. So I'm going to put this on the diagonal right here. So here's what it's going to look like when you open up, and I might want to tack that down somehow. When you open up, you're going to be presented with a gift right in here. I'm going to attach this to the bottom layer, and going to do it again with the tear and tape. And as I said, I'm showing mine in black. It looks a little bit, I don't know, neutral. You could easily do it in the school colors, or if it's a kindergartner graduating, it could be in pink and blue. It could be a bright sunny color. Totally up to you. And the one thing I do want to say is when you choose your inside layer that you're going to fold, make it a lighter weight paper, not a cardstock layer. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to spring up that way. And so Designer Series paper is a nice weight to do that. And I just went with a black and white pattern I happen to have on hand with that geometric. So again, it's gender neutral. All right, so I've got my layer. I'm going to put the pocket to the bottom. I want to slip in my card there. So with the black, it's a little bit hard to see, and I know I'm going to have about an 1/8 inch border all the way around. There we go. And the pocket would be ideal for a little gift card, just like that. And right in here, we're gonna put our greeting, which is "You did it." And this greeting comes from one of the new stamp sets in the annual catalog. It's the Many Happenings stamp set. You can see "You did it" right here in the center. This is an awesome stamp set that coordinates with the Many Messages stamp set that's in the new annual catalog. It was in the mini. And one stamp, it's a huge stamp, and so what I do, I put it on my Stamparatus. You're gonna need a huge sheet of paper that measures 5.5 by about 6.5 inches. You stamp it once, and then you die cut it with the Messages die, and this layers right over so that you can see all the labels you're gonna get for, now this is at this is at about 85%. It's not 100%, but you're gonna get the idea. There's a label here, here, and they line up perfectly when you layer over top the stamp set. So maybe I could do this easier. There we go. So you can see all the labels you're gonna get. And it works out really nice. You're gonna have lots of labels to work with. In this case, I've got my nice graduation label, and I'm gonna attach that. And I actually saved all the other labels here. Friends Forever, some really sweet ones. So there's Happily Ever After for weddings, Sweet Baby, You're Awesome, Happy Retirement, There Are No Words. So every kind of message you might need, You're the Best, Love and Hugs, is in that die cut. Just put them in a little envelope, and you will have a sentiment at the ready when you need a card. So to attach this, I'm going to use some glue dots right through here, like so. And let's see, I'm going to put it right, hopefully that's kind of centered. You did it. There is actually a teeny tiny congrats in that same little set. So, I mean, you could use it, you don't have to. I was thinking, and here's your area to sign. So you could write your message and sign your card, insert your gift card. When you close it all up, you could, and this is what I was hoping to do, use that congrats to kind of secure this tassel in place. So I just might need a glue dot on both sides. That way the tassel's not just swinging around. And let's see, I think I'm gonna put it right like so. And I am gonna use glue dots to do this. 2 little glue dots, 1 for each side of the tassel. And I'm gonna bring this down. I want it off to the side, make sure that's the right side, yep. And bring that in. Congrats. Very small message inside. You did it. Give place for your gift card or cash, and a place to sign. Nice, very basic pattern for grad cards. And if you do want a special envelope, if you don't want to put it in a larger envelope, I made my 5 by 5 inch envelope. It's actually a little bit bigger to accommodate this graduation cap. And I used this tool from a few years back. It's called the envelope punch board. So sometimes you have tools and you wonder to yourself, like, why did I buy this? Here you go. This makes specialized envelopes of all different sizes. It's a very cool tool. Stampin' Up! No longer sells them, but perhaps you bought one when they were still in the catalog, or other companies still make them. What I love about it is you pick your card size, it'll tell you what size of paper you need, and it'll tell you what your score line is going to be, and the step-by-step direction on how to create the envelope. So the envelope I created was made from a sheet of the same designer series paper that happens to be in that True Love paper pack. I liked just the dots on the back, and what I would do if I was mailing it is put a label on here. If you are handing it over, you could write in a colored Sharpie. And this was made, I think the paper measurement, let's see, I went over here and I chose my 5x5 size, and it told me I needed a paper 8.5 by 8.5. And it gives me the score line. So that's how I made this paper. I will, maybe in a future episode, share with you how to create the envelope. I'm going to put this right in place here inside the envelope. There we go. And seal it, label it, and send it off. Just a warning though, if you choose to make a square envelope, Postmaster General is going to want extra postage for it. So I do happen to like that it is tailor-made. It would fit in a 5x7 envelope, but this just makes it a little bit more special. So there we go. There's our card for a grad. Here is our card for Dad. And I did say I had an alternate to share with you on the Hats Off stamp set. One I created that coordinates with the paper pumpkin. There's my all-star hat with the hats die cut. And what's really cool about this stamp set is if you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, you also got a stamp set that has a small cap on it. And the Hats Builder die set has that smaller hat that you can die cut as well. So the stamp is in the Paper Pumpkin, the die is here. You could easily die cut a smaller cap, but there we go. So sporty Father's Day birthday card, and a little bit more casual business attire with the tweed and pinstripe and the paisley. So let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed watching me craft. Videos are uploaded over to my YouTube site. Give me a little bit of time. I will be posting other examples with the Hats Off bundle over on my blog, AnnaMariePalmerin.com. I hope you click over and check out the other things I offer. And Debbie says, really cute. Thank you. I appreciate that, Debbie. If you would like to purchase either of the or any of the supplies, I can post a link up. Remember, some of the papers are going away, the Well Suited and the True Love. The Hats Off and the message bundles are still available, so no urgency. But if you want to make your grads and dads cards, you can go ahead and order. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next week.